Hello and welcome students. We are into the 35th video lecture of the video lecture series made on the subject of machine design, whose subject code is ME303, and the topic which I am going to discuss with you today is the design of spring part 3. So majorly in this third part of the design of a spring, we are going to discuss about the different numericals on the design of a spring, theory, the two equations which are important for the design of a spring, that is the load stress equation and the load deflection equation. We have already derived it in the previous video lecture. Alright, so based on those two equations, we are going to design the springs, means we are going to solve numericals in which we are asked to design the spring. Also, the factor of safety is very important consideration that has to be taken in the case of a spring also. So we will see what are those factor of safety values. And then one more thing that is important as far as the design of a spring is concerned is the fluctuating stress that are developed in the spring, because many a times the load that is acting on the spring is the fluctuating load. So how the spring has to be designed considering the fluctuating load, that also we will see. So before this, if you have not seen my previous video lectures on this particular topic of design of a spring, go and watch those video lectures. It will be beneficial for you. I am Shri Krishna Mishra, Assistant Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Jaipur. So before moving into the discussion, first of all, let's see what are the objectives of today's lecture. So the objectives of today's lecture are: first, to design a helical spring based on a given set of data. So basically, in today's lecture, we are going to design a helical spring when some input values or some data has been given to us. Alright, like the load which have to be applied on the spring. So if some data has been given to us and we are asked to design the spring, how we will design the helical spring, we are going to see. The second objective is to solve the numericals which are based on the design of helical springs. Then the numericals which are based on the design of helical spring, we are going to solve those numericals. Then the third lecture objective is to calculate the values of coil diameter, wire diameter and number of active coils of a spring. Our third objective, student, is we are going to calculate the parameters which are very important in design of a spring, that is the coil diameter, wire diameter and the number of active coils of a spring. Then after, our last objective is we are going to discuss the case of fluctuating load that will be acting on the spring. So this is the important case of a design of a spring, because many a times the spring is acted upon by a fluctuating load. So we are going to understand what happens when the fluctuating load acts on the spring, and the second thing, how we are going to design the spring on the basis of fluctuating load acting on it. So these are the lecture objectives of today's lecture, students. Now let's start our lecture. So this is the example which I am going to first of all consider with you in today's lecture. Now before it, in the previous lecture we have derived the load stress equation, which is very crucial in the design of a spring. So this is the equation which we are going to use in our numericals. Tau is equal to K into 8 PD upon pi d cube. Alright, this will give you the value of stress acting on the spring. And here there is a constant, there is a factor which is known as K. K is your stress factor or wall factor. And wall factor value is given by this particular formula. K is equal to 4C minus 1 upon 4C minus 4 plus 0.615 upon C. Here capital C stands for spring index. Alright, so we are going to use this particular load stress equation for calculating the coil diameter and wire diameter. Then after, students, after this, I have already told you in previous lecture we have derived the load deflection equation also. So based on this load deflection equation, which is given by this particular equation, that del is equal to 8 pdq of n upon gd4, we are going to calculate this n. We are going to calculate this n. N is what? N is the number of active coils. So through this load deflection equation, we are going to calculate the number of active coils. Alright. Then after, also the procedure of design of helical spring was also taught to you in the previous lecture. This was whole of the step which are to be followed. We are going to calculate the value of spring index, wall factor, wire diameter, alright, mean coil diameter. Then after, we are going to calculate the number of active coils by the load deflection equation. Then how much is the number of total coils, total number of coils we will calculate on the basis of style of end. Then solid length value we can calculate then after. Then on the basis of this value of solid length and the number of active coils, again we can use this load stress equation, load deflection equation, and calculate the number of coils. Then total gap, if you want to calculate between the coils of the spring, if you want to calculate the total gap, then by this formula we will calculate. Finally, at last, the free length of the spring, that we can be calculated by this particular formula, where free length is equal to solid length plus total gap plus del. Alright, so this is the equation, student. Then after, apart from that, if more information is needed, then pitch can also be calculated by this formula, P pitch is equal to free length upon nt minus 1. And similarly, the rate of the spring, that can be calculated, K is equal to P by del, and it is equal to Gd to the power 4 upon 8 d cube n. Alright, so this was the procedure which I taught to you in the previous lecture. Now directly we will solve the example. We will solve the numerical. Let's see what this numerical is saying. Let's read out this numerical. The numerical is saying that it is required to design a helical spring. So basically we are going to design a helical compression spring, and it is subjected to maximum force of 1250 Newton. This is the maximum force, means this is the value of P. This is the value of P. Then after, the deflection of the spring corresponding to maximum force is also given to us. This is the value of deflection of the spring. So the maximum deflection means del value they have given to you as 30 mm. The spring index can be taken as 6. The value of spring index means capital C is also given to us. The spring is made of patented and cold drawn steel wire. This is the material from which the spring is made. The ultimate tensile strength and modulus of rigidity of the spring is also given. This is the ultimate tensile strength 1090 Newton per mm square. This is the ultimate tensile strength, means this is SUT. And then 81370. This is basically what? This is your value of modulus of rigidity. Alright, so we denoted by G in the formula. Then after, the permissible shear stress for a spring wire should be taken as 50% of the ultimate tensile strength. So the value of tau which we will take, it will be 0.5. 50% means 0.2 into SUT. Alright. So this we are going to use the value 0.5, sorry. 50% means 0.5. This value we are going to keep. Then after, what are the values which we have to calculate in designing? We have to calculate the following things. First is the wire diameter. This means small d. The coil diameter. This means capital D. The number of active coils means capital N. Then total number of coils means we write it by NT. Then free length of the spring, and solid length of the spring. So whatever subscript you want to use, S, F, LF, free length. Alright. Then pitch of the coil. These are the values which we have to calculate in this numerical. So as we all know, we will start with the load stress equation, and through load stress equation we can calculate these two values. These two values can be calculated by load stress equation. Load stress equation. All right. Then after, what we will do for the number of active coils, we are going to use the load deflection equation. Load deflection equation. The number of active coils we are going to calculate by load deflection equation. Alright, then after the following things which are remaining, they can also be calculated by the simple formulas. So let's start. See, students, first of all, whatever values are given in the numerical, we have listed those values. These are the values. Load is given to us 1250 Newton, deflection 30 mm, then spring index C, ultimate tensile strength value 1090 Newton per mm square, modulus of rigidity G 81370. This means that the material which is used is your steel. Then the relation between the ultimate tensile strength and permissible shear stress tau is equal to 0.5 SU2. So this will be our first step to calculate the value of shear stress, because ultimate tensile strength value is given to us. So shear stress is equal to 0.5 of ultimate tensile strength. Putting the value of ultimate tensile strength value given in the numerical, we can calculate the value of tau. Alright, so tau value we have calculated, students. Then after wall factor we will calculate. How we will calculate the wall factor? The formula we already know. K is equal to 4C minus 1 upon 4C minus 4 plus 0.615 upon C. So this wall factor we will calculate, but for that we need the value of spring index, and the spring index value is also given in us in the numerical. C is equal to 6. This is the value of spring index. Directly using this value in this walls factor equation, what we will get? We will get the value of wall factor as 1.2525. Now using this wall factor equation, wall factor value in the load stress equation, which says that tau is equal to K into 8pc upon pi d square. We have simplified that equation. We have used the spring index because we are having the value of a spring index. Tau is equal to K into 8pc upon pi d cube. Now if we put the value of spring index, load is also given to us, then everything is K we have calculated, tau we have also calculated here 545. All the values are given except the wire diameter, this. So this is the unknown. So from the equation we can calculate the value of this unknown small d. Alright, this unknown small d can be calculated. Small d, if you will calculate, you will find it as equal to 6.63, or if you round off, it will become equal to 7 mm. It will become equal to 7 mm. Alright. Now if you have calculated the value of wire diameter, this means that we can calculate the value of coil diameter. How we will calculate the value of coil diameter? See, spring index value we already have, and spring index is basically what? It is the ratio of coil diameter upon the wire diameter. So if C is all there, small d you have calculated, then capital D will be equal to C into D. C into D means 6 into 7 means it is equal to 42. So this is the mean coil diameter. Alright. Then after the next step, we have calculated the wire diameter and the mean coil diameter. Next step will be to calculate the number of active coils. So how we will calculate the number of active coils? As I have already told to you that load deflection equation will fetch us this value. So this load deflection equation has got all the notations which we already have. Capital D we have already calculated. Modulus of rigidity is given in the numerical. Then after, load is also given in the numerical, and number of active coils is the unknown which we have to calculate. All the other values are given to us. Putting all those values like load 1250, wire diameter 42 mm, then we have also modulus of rigidity 81370. Putting all those values, small diameter means that wire diameter 7 mm, that is also we have calculated here. So using these all values, the students, using these all values, we can calculate from this relation load deflection equation, we can calculate the value of number of coils. Since number of coils are coming in decimal, we can't have a coil in decimal, because always the number of coils, it should be in whole number. So this means 7.9, we will directly round off it and consider it as equal to 8 coils. Now if 8 coils is the answer, not 7.9, if you have considered it, if you have round off it and taken as 8 coils, so total number of coils will be equal to how much? See, now the total number of coils, as I have told to you in my previous video lectures, that it depends on the type of style of end, that how much will be the total number of coils. If the style of end is square and ground, if the style of the end is square and ground, since it is not given in the question, so we are assuming it. We are assuming it that the spring has square and ground ends. This means that if the square and ground ends are there in the spring, then directly the number of inactive coils in such style is your 2. So the total number of coils becomes active number of coils plus inactive number of coils. Inactive number of coils, it is 2. So n plus 2 will give you the total number of coils. Active coils 8, inactive coils 2. Total will be equal to 8 plus 2, that is 10. Alright. Then after the calculation of total number of coils, we are going to calculate the free length of the spring. Now for calculating the free length of the spring, what we will do, we have already seen the load deflection equation, which says that del is equal to deflection is equal to 8 PDQ n upon GD to the power 4. Here n value, which value of n we will take? We will take the value which we have calculated, that is 8. So putting this 8 here, what we will get? We will get the value of actual deflection. Alright, actual deflection means after designing, you have calculated a value of number of coils as 8. So we will use this particular value in the deflection equation, and we will calculate the value from the formula. The value from the formula which we have calculated now, this is the actual deflection of the spring. This is what? This is the actual deflection of the spring. Though in the numerical, the value of deflection was given to us as 30 mm. But actual deflection means directly when if you have calculated the value of this n number of active coils, so why not to use this load deflection equation and calculate the value of deflection? So you can see in the numerical, the value given of deflection is 30, and the value which we are calculating by this formula is 30.34. So this is exact value. Now the solid length of the spring, how we will calculate? Solid length, as I have already told to you while I was explaining you the different length of the spring, compressed length, solid length, and the free length. At that time I have told you, for calculating the solid length of the spring, the formula is your NT, means total number of coils into wire diameter. So NT into D, this is your solid length of the spring. Multiply these two values, total number of coils into wire diameter. This will give you the value of total solid length of the spring equal to 70 mm. Now it is assumed that there is a gap. Since there is no gap given to us, so we will have to assume something. See, assumption is important in the case of machine design subject, because sometimes whole of the designing we have to do and some values are missing in the numerical. So those values which are missing, that values we can assume, but the assumptions is always practical. Means the values should be practical values. It should not be a value which is not at all possible. Alright. See here, like in the case of style of end, we have assumed the style of end as a square and ground end. Similarly, here for gap between the coils, we have assumed that 1 mm is the gap between the two consecutive coils. Now, if there is 1 mm gap between the two consecutive coils and the total number of coils is 10, then how conclusion we can take out? NT minus 1 means total number of coils minus 1 into gap between two adjacent coils. This will give you the total axial gap. So how we are calculating the total axial gap? Total axial gap is equal to total number of coils minus 1 into the gap between adjacent coils, that is equal to 9 mm. So finally, free length from this Finally, from this, free length is equal to solid length plus total axial gap plus del. This will give you the value of free length. All right, free length means complete length from here to here. So how you can get? If you will add the solid length, all right, plus the gap and plus the deflection. By adding all these three values, you can get the free length. So free length will be 70, solid length, axial gap is your 9, which we have calculated here, and the deflection which we have calculated, the actual deflection which we have calculated by the formula is 30.34. Adding these three values, we will get the value of free length. So the free length value is 110 mm, 110 mm. We have rounded off this 109.34 value. Again, the next step, the calculation of pitch of the coil. How we will calculate the pitch of the coil? The formula I have already told to you. Pitch of the coil is calculated by free length upon nt minus 1. This provides you the value of pitch of the coil. Alright, so the free length we have already calculated in the previous step, in this step. It was equal to 109.34. Why not to take this actual value? So 109.34 we have taken, and divided by nt is your 10 minus 1. This will give you the value 9. So 109.34 divided by 9. This will give you the value 12.15 mm. This is basically what? This is the pitch we have calculated. Alright, pitch is the distance between two adjacent points on the spring. On the adjacent coil of the spring. Distance between two same positions of the coils of the two adjacent coils. Alright, means one point if you consider here, somewhere here. So the same corresponding point on the adjacent coil, the distance between these 2 points, this will give you the value of pitch. Alright, so pitch we have calculated 12.5. What else is required to be calculated? Nothing. We have calculated everything in this numerical. So this was the whole numerical which we have solved. I hope you have understood, you have grasped the idea of designing of helical spring. One more numerical we will do, and this will provide us a solidity in solving the design of spring questions. So let's see the next numerical. So this is the next question, student. Let's read out the question and see what values are given. So in the numerical, it is saying that a helical compression spring made of circular wire. Alright, the cross section is circular. It is subjected to axial force which varies from 2.5 kilonewton to 3.5 kilonewton. So this value they have given. They have not given you the exact value of load. They have said that the load is varying between 2.5 to 3.5 kilonewton. Over this range of force, the deflection of the spring should be approximately 5 mm. Deflection also they have given to you in this range. Alright, so deflection is given to you. Again, moving further, spring index can be taken as 5. 5 is your spring index, which is denoted by capital C. The spring has square and ground ends. So this is the type of spring ends, square and ground ends. The spring is made of patented and cold drawn steel wire. Alright, this is the material that is used to make the wire, patented and cold drawn steel wire. The style of end in this previous line, this particular value will provide us the value of relation between the total number of coils and the number of active coils. So NT, total number of coils, if we have calculated the value of active coils, then total number of coils will be given by N, number of active coils plus 2. This is in the case of square and ground ends. So this value we will take. Moving further, the spring is made of, this we have already read the line. The ultimate tensile strength value is given 1050 Newton per mm square, and modulus of rigidity is given to us as 81370 Newton per mm square. Means this is the value of capital G, and modulus of, and the second, this is the value of ultimate tensile strength. This is the value of ultimate tensile strength. The permissible shear stress for the spring wire should be taken as 50% of the ultimate tensile strength. So the same line we have used in the previous numerical also, tau we have to take 0.5 into ultimate tensile strength, SUT. Alright, now what values we have to calculate here? Again, first is your wire diameter, second is your coil diameter, third number of active coils. So this means that a small d, capital D. Based on this spring index, we are going to calculate the number of active coils, capital N. Total number of coils means NT we are going to calculate. Then after solid length of the spring, three type of length: solid length, free length. These two length of the spring we will calculate, and then after required spring rate we will calculate the spring rate. Alright, and then at last actual spring rate. So two type of spring rate we have to calculate. One is the required spring rate, and then after the actual spring rate. So let's see, move into the solution now. So first of all, we will list out all the values which are given in the numerical. These are the values. Load we have been given as 22.5 to 3.5 kilonewton. Then after deflection, del 5 mm, spring index 5, ultimate tensile strength, modulus of rigidity G, and then tau value is also given to us. So first step is to calculate the wire diameter. The permissible shear stress for the spring is given to us as tau is equal to 0.5 of ultimate tensile strength. So this formula we already know, and it is also given in the numerical also. So using this particular formula, we can calculate the first important value, that is the shear stress value, permissible shear stress value. Now using this value, we can calculate the wall factor. Wall factor relation we already know. Alright, and how we will calculate? Only spring index value we need, and spring index value is given to us here. So using this value here in the formula of wall factor, we can calculate the wall factor. It is 1.3105. Then after the shear stress value, tau is equal to K into 8 PC upon pi d square. In this particular formula, this is basically the formula of load deflection. This is your load deflection, load stress relation. This is your load stress relation. Through this relation, two values can be calculated. One is the wire diameter, and then after calculating it, we are going to calculate the coil diameter. So wire diameter, that is your small d, we will calculate from this. The values which are given to us in the question is your spring index, then after the load that is acting, and then after the wall factor we have calculated, and the permissible shear stress value also we have calculated. Putting all these values, alright, load value, one thing you should keep in mind, that always in this equation the load which is taken is the maximum load. So don't get confused with this particular language that the load is varying between 2.5 to 3.5. This means that always we will take the maximum value in this equation. The load value here in this equation, in this load stress equation, is the maximum value of load. So we will take in between 2.5 to 3.5. What is the maximum value? Maximum value is 3.5. In kilo, it is in kilonewton. So in Newton we will say it is equal to 3500. So in the load stress equation, we are going to put the value 3500 in the place of this P. Alright, all other values are already known to us. Then on putting these values, we will get the value of wire diameter as equal to 10.55 mm. I hope you have understood till now. Now based on, as we have done in the previous numerical, similarly here also based on this wire diameter and based on this particular spring index, we are going to calculate from these two values, we are going to calculate the value of coil diameter. How? We all know that this particular value of C is ratio of what? Coil diameter divided by wire diameter. Alright, so putting the values, we can get capital D divided by small d is equal to 11, and this is equal to 5, means capital D will be equal to 5 into 11, 55. So moving further into the solution, as you can see, as I have told to you, the value C into D, this will give you the value of mean coil diameter as 55. Now the next step is to calculate the number of active coils. So the number of active coils, students, how we can calculate? See, as I have already told to you in the previous numerical and in the design procedure also, that the number of active coils is obtained by the load deflection equation. And this load deflection equation, deflection is given by 8 PD cube of N upon GD to the power 4. So G is your modulus of rigidity, its value is given in the numerical. Load, we will take the maximum here in this equation, in the equation of load and deflection. Keep it in mind, the one twist that is there is that here we will take the difference of the load, that is the maximum load and the minimum load. So we will take the difference of these two values. Difference of the maximum load and the minimum load we are going to take here in the load deflection equation. While in the case of stress load equation, we have taken the maximum value of load. Alright, so this you should keep in mind, that always whenever such case is there, that you have been given the value that the load is varying between two values, then always the difference of the values of the load you will take in the case of deflection equation, while for stress equation you will use the maximum value. So this is the deflection equation for calculation of number of active coils. For in this equation we are going to put the value of P as difference of the values of maximum and minimum. And capital D is what? Capital D is the mean coil diameter, 55 mm, already we have calculated. Then after G is given to us as 81370, modulus of rigidity of the material. Then small d is wire diameter is equal to 11. So all the values are given to us, even the deflection value was given to us in the numerical. So based on it we have calculated the value of, based on it we have calculated the value of the number of active coils. Number of active coils we are getting 4.48. So obviously coils can't be in decimal form, so we are rounding it off and we are taking the maximum value, that is 5 coils. Now always we take the larger value in designing, we don't take the smaller value. Like for example here there might be a thought in your mind that 4.48 will be round off to 4, but it is not like that. Always the next larger value is taken, therefore we have taken the value 5. Then after the next step is total number of coils, step number 4, that is the total number of coils. How we will calculate? See, the coil has got square and ground ends. This is given in the numerical. So if the coil has square and ground ends, and the number of active coils, we all know that for square and ground end is equal to 2. So for the total number of coils, we can calculate by adding these 2 with the number of active coils. Number of active coils we have already calculated, equal to 5. 5 plus 2, this will give you the value of number of total coils as equal to 7 coils. Alright, so this is the total number of coils. Then in the designing, what is the next step? We are going to calculate the solid length. Based on this particular value of total number of coils, we can calculate the solid length. How we can calculate? We all know solid length is given by multiplication of wire diameter with the total number of coils. So NT into D, that is 7 into 11. This will give you the value equal to 77. 77 is the solid length. Then after, students, our next step will be to calculate the free length of the coil. And how we will calculate the free length? See, already I have told to you that free length can be calculated, but for that you will have to use the value of deflection. And again you will have to calculate actual deflection. Though you have got the value of deflection in the numerical, but that value you will not take here. That particular value of deflection, which is 5, you will not take here value in the calculation of free length. For this particular value, you will have to take actual value. So for actual value, all the values like number of active coils, wire diameter, coil diameter, load, all values you have. So in the load stress equation, in the load deflection equation, in fact, what we will do, this maximum value we will take of load. Alright, for actual deflection, what you will have to do, you will not have to take the difference of the values of the load. The maximum load value you will take. Alright, so P, capital P, we are taking as the maximum value and it is equal to 3500. Because the load is load is in between 2.5 to 3.5 kilonewton. So maximum value is 3.5 kilonewton. That same value we are taking and putting in here in the equation. So by doing this, the value of deflection which we are getting is 19.55 mm. This is the deflection value which we are getting, actual deflection value. Now this actual deflection value, why we have calculated? Because we have to calculate the total length, and for that we have to calculate the gap, total axial gap, and the total axial gap is only possible if we have the value of total number of coils. Alright, total number of coils is 7. NT minus 1 means total number of coils minus 1 into gap between two adjacent coils will give you the value of total axial gap. So total axial gap will be equal to what? Gap between adjacent coils is 0.5. We are assuming it. It is not given in the numerical. As I have already told to you, we will have to assume some values which are not given in the numerical. Like the gap, it is not given. So we can take some value which is actually practically possible. 0.5 mm is the generally common gap which is taken between the two coils in the case of helical spring. So we have taken 0.5 mm. Now doing this, 0.5 is the gap between two adjacent coils. Total number of coils is 7. So NT minus 1 into 0.5. This will give you the total axial gap. On calculation, you will see that total axial gap is equal to 3 mm. It is equal to 3 mm. Alright. Then after, from the total axial gap value, we can calculate the free length, because we know the formula. Free length is equal to solid length plus total axial gap plus this particular value of actual deflection. Actual deflection we have calculated is equal to 19. Total axial gap, here in the above step you can see 3 mm we have calculated. Solid length which we have calculated is 77. Finally, on adding these three values, you will get 99.55 as the free length. So nearest whole number near to it is 100 mm. So we have taken the value 100 mm. Then coming into the next step, step number 7. In this step, we are going to calculate the spring rate. Now in the spring rate, we all know it is equal to load by deflection. But again here, the load which we will take will be the difference of the two, maximum and the minimum load. Means 3500 minus 2500 divided by the deflection value. Alright. So this we always keep in mind. Here we will not take the maximum value of load. We will take the difference of the load. P1 minus P2 by del. Alright. So this will give you the value of spring rate as equal to 200 Newton per mm. It is not per mm, it is per mm square. Corrected. It is per mm square. Alright. Then the next step, actual spring rate. How we will calculate the actual spring rate? Actual spring rate can be calculated by the formula. We all know the formula for actual spring rate will be K is equal to, we all know it is equal to K is equal to P by del. Alright, and del equation we already know it is equal to, by this we can get the spring rate formula. K is equal to GD4 to the power to GD to the power 4 upon 8 D cube N. Putting all those values, because we already till now have calculated all the values. So putting all these values, now we can get the value of actual spring rate. This is the required spring rate which we need. But actually the value of the spring rate as given by the values which are given in the question is this one. Alright, don't get confused. This is the actual spring rate and this is the required spring rate which we have calculated by this formula, and this is the actual spring rate. K is equal to G D to the power 4 upon 8 D cube N. So you can see there is difference between these two values which we have calculated. So this was the numerical. So in this way we have solved the numerical. Now let's discuss some multiple choice questions, students, in order to assess how much we have gained till now by discussion in this video lecture. So here are our multiple choice questions, students. We will start with our multiple choice question number 1. So let's read out what is our first question. When the helical compression spring is, the question is saying us that when the helical compression spring is subjected to axial compressive force, the type of stress induced in the wire. So the type of stress that is induced in a wire when a helical compression spring is subjected to axial compressive force is basically your what? It is basically your torsional shear stresses. It is what? It is your torsional shear stresses. Very easy numerical. Very easy MC multiple choice question. Coming into the second multiple choice question, when a helical spring is cut into two halves, the stiffness of each of the half of the spring will be. So if you will cut a helical spring into two halves, always keep in mind that the stiffness will not get half, it will be doubled, because if stiffness is basically equal to, if you for a case of a parallel spring, for a case of parallel case of a spring, the stiffness is added. All right, so K is equal to K1 plus K2. So basically what will be happen, the stiffness when you have cut a spring into two halves, stiffness will remain same, and when you have the half of the spring stiffness of both of the half will be double. So option B is the correct option, that the stiffness of each half spring will be double of the original spring. Alright, so B is the correct option. All the other options same as original spring, not correct. Half of original spring, not correct. And 1/4 of the original spring is not correct. B is the correct option. Coming into the next multiple choice question. The type of spring used to measure weight in spring balance is, so in order to measure weight in spring balance, which type of spring we use? See, as I have already shown to you, if in a spring balance you are weighing something, means you will attach something here, and this is the spring. So basically the tensile load is acting on it, and the spring which we basically use is your extension spring. Tension spring means you are applying the tension load, means the spring is your extension spring. Alright, and basically the form of spring which we are using is the helical. So the option, first option, helical extension spring, this is very suited with the question. Apart from this, the other springs like multi-leaf spring, that is used for heavy compressions. Then spiral spring, no, it is also not correct, because spiral springs are used in watches. Then the third one is this helical torsion spring. No, this is used in the doors. Alright, so the helical extension spring is the correct option. Option A is the correct option of multiple choice question number 3. Alright, coming into multiple choice question number 4. Concentric springs are used in, now concentric springs means which are having the same axis. This is the spring. There is one more spring like this. Let me change the color of the spring so that you can understand better. If this is the other spring, now both are having the same axis. Both are having the same axis. So such type of springs are known as concentric springs. I will tell this particular type of spring in the next video lecture in detail. And concentric springs are basically used in order to increase the load carrying capacity of the spring. If we want to increase the load carrying capacity of the spring, then in that case we use the concentric spring. So here in the options, let's read out what are the options. First is to achieve greater load carrying capacity with given space. So this is the correct one. Apart from, let's read other also. To achieve fail-safe system, this is also correct. Third one, to eliminate the surge in spring, this is also correct. So if all the three options are correct, then D, which is saying that any of the above objective is the correct, means D is the correct option. All these three are the benefits of concentric spring: greater load carrying capacity, fail-safe operation, and the elimination of surge. Coming into the next multiple choice question number 5. When two concentric springs are made of same material having same free length and compressed equally by axial load, then the load shared by each spring is proportional to So if the material is same, free length is same, and compressed length is also same of two concentric spring, alright, then the load shared by each spring, I will tell you in detail in this coming lecture also. The load shared by each spring is square of wire diameter of each spring. Apart from that, load is proportional to spring index, not the correct answer. Wire diameter proportional, no. Mean diameter proportional, this is also no. So option D is the correct option. Coming into multiple choice question number 6. When the helical torsion spring is subjected to torque, the type of stress induced in the spring wire is, so helical torsion spring is subjected to torque. The type of stress that is induced in a spring wire is basically this is a question in which you can get confused. The type of load that is acting in the spring wire is your bending stress. Alright, bending stress is the type of load. So option C is the correct option. Coming into multiple choice question number 7. The type of spring used to achieve greater load carrying capacity within given space. So this I have already told you, for higher load carrying capacity you use the concentric spring. D is the answer. 8th number question. The type of spring used in valve mechanism is, so in valve mechanism we know that helical extension spring is used. Option A is the correct option. Coming into multiple choice question number 9. The type of spring used in vehicle clutches. So in the clutches of the vehicle, the spring that is used is also helical compression spring and a bevel spring. So both A and B is the correct option. Coming into multiple choice question number 10. The spring operates, we all know the spring operates within elastic limits. So B is the correct option. So all the multiple choice question we have discussed is the content which I have prepared to make you learn about this topic was from these references. You can also use these references for your self-study, students. For today, it's enough. Thank you, students. Thank you and have a nice day.